Nick Groff was once a leading force in paranormal investigation, a pioneer who helped shape the modern ghost hunting era. As a co-creator of Ghost Adventures, he brought a fresh, immersive approach that captivated millions. But behind the eerie locations and chilling encounters, a darker story was unfolding. Allegations of industry sabotage, power struggles, and whispers of blacklisting began to surface. How did Nick go from a groundbreaking investigator to an outsider in the field he helped build? Was he forced out, or did he step away on his own terms? This is the untold story of Nick Groff. His rise to paranormal fame, his shocking departure from mainstream television, and the controversies that followed. From his defining moments on Ghost Adventures to his fight for creative freedom, we uncover the real story behind the man who helped bring the supernatural into the spotlight, only to find himself haunted by his own past. Nick Groff's journey into the paranormal didn't start with television fame. It began with an unshakable fascination for the unknown. As a kid, he was drawn to the supernatural, captivated by ghost stories, eerie locations, and the mysteries that seemed to linger just out of reach. That curiosity followed him into adulthood, leading him to pursue filmmaking as a way to document the unexplainable. But at the time, paranormal investigations were still a niche interest, largely dismissed by mainstream media. Nick saw an opportunity to change that. While studying film, he crossed paths with Zach Bagans, a fellow enthusiast with a passion for ghost hunting. Alongside Aaron Goodwin, they set out to create something different, an unfiltered, adrenaline-fueled look at real haunted locations. Their goal was simple: to prove the existence of the paranormal through raw, immersive investigations. In 2004, their vision became reality with the Ghost Adventures documentary, an independent project that would unknowingly change the future of paranormal television. One of their most infamous investigations took place at the Goldfield Hotel in Nevada. The footage captured that night was unforgettable. A brick, seemingly launched by an unseen force, flew across the room. The chilling moment, caught on camera, would become one of the most debated pieces of paranormal evidence ever recorded. The documentary didn't just grab the attention of ghost hunting enthusiasts, it caught the eye of the Travel Channel. In 2008, Ghost Adventures was greenlit as a full-fledged series, and suddenly, Nick Groff, Zach Bagans, and Aaron Goodwin found themselves at the center of a paranormal revolution. Unlike other shows that treated ghost hunting as a slow-paced investigation, Ghost Adventures introduced something new: high-energy, first-person storytelling that pulled audiences directly into the experience. The show wasn't just about evidence, it was about raw emotion, fear, and the thrill of the unknown. Nick's role was instrumental in shaping that approach. While Zach brought intensity and theatrics to the screen, Nick balanced the team with his methodical, grounded perspective. His calm demeanor and analytical approach gave the investigations credibility, making him a fan favorite among those who preferred a more scientific take on the paranormal. As the series gained traction, its influence expanded beyond television. Ghost Adventures wasn't just a show, it was a brand. The success led to books, merchandise, live events, and a rapidly growing empire in paranormal entertainment. Nick's presence was a key factor in this rise. He wasn't just an investigator, he was a filmmaker, a storyteller, and a driving force behind the show's evolution. His contributions extended beyond what was seen on camera. Nick played a major role in shaping the show's visual style, pushing for cinematic storytelling that made each episode feel like a horror movie unfolding in real time. He advocated for immersive overnight lockdowns, a format that became a signature aspect of Ghost Adventures. This wasn't just ghost hunting, It was a full sensory experience designed to make viewers feel as if they were trapped inside these haunted locations right alongside the team. As the seasons progressed, the show's impact became undeniable. What started as an independent documentary had turned into one of the most watched paranormal series on television. The investigations took them to some of the most notorious haunted sites in the world. From abandoned asylums to historic prisons, each location carrying its own dark history. Nick's ability to bring authenticity to these investigations set him apart. While others leaned into theatrics, he focused on the evidence, often pushing for a scientific approach to verify findings. His background in film allowed him to experiment with different camera techniques and new technology, elevating the production value of the series. But as Ghost Adventures soared in popularity, the dynamics within the team began to shift. The balance between investigation and entertainment became harder to maintain. Behind the scenes, creative differences were growing. Nick had envisioned Ghost Adventures as a platform to explore real paranormal phenomena. But as the show became more commercialized, he felt the investigations were becoming secondary to the spectacle. Despite these tensions, the golden era of Ghost Adventures cemented Nick Groff as a defining figure in the field. Fans connected with his genuine passion for uncovering the truth, and his influence extended beyond just the show. He was helping reshape the way people viewed paranormal investigation, proving that the search for the unknown could be both thrilling and credible. For years, Nick was at the forefront of this movement, helping drive Ghost Adventures to unprecedented success. But as his influence grew, so did the challenges behind the scenes. The very empire he helped build was changing, and soon, Nick would face a choice that would alter the course of his career forever. Nick Groff had spent years building Ghost Adventures into one of the most influential paranormal shows on television. But as the series gained momentum, something started to shift. The raw, investigative style that had originally defined the show was slowly giving way to something else, something more theatrical, more dramatic. Nick had envisioned Ghost Adventures as a genuine exploration of the unknown, an attempt to bring real paranormal research to a mainstream audience. But with growing success came growing pressure to entertain, and soon the balance between authenticity and spectacle started to blur. Behind the scenes, tensions were building. Some crew members later suggested that creative conflicts were becoming more frequent, with different visions for the show clashing behind closed doors. At the center of it all was an unspoken question: who controlled the future of Ghost Adventures? Nick had always been a key force behind the show's production, helping shape its storytelling and investigative techniques. But as the series continued, Zach Bagans took on a larger role, both on screen and off. Fans began to notice the shift, with Zach becoming the undisputed face of the show, while Nick, once an equal partner, seemed to fade further into the background. Some reports suggest that Nick felt Ghost Adventures was moving too far into sensationalism, relying on theatrics rather than evidence. Others claim that tensions between Nick and Zach had grown to the point where collaboration became impossible. Crew members have hinted at arguments on set, moments where creative differences spilled over into personal conflict. While neither Nick nor Zach have publicly detailed exactly what went wrong, by 2014, it was clear that something had to give. Then, without warning, Nick Groff was gone. Fans were stunned when Travel Channel announced that Nick was leaving Ghost Adventures. The official explanation was simple. Nick wanted to pursue independent projects, but almost immediately, rumors began to swirl. Was he forced out? Had Zach given the network an ultimatum? Some insiders claim that Nick's departure wasn't voluntary at all. According to speculation, Zach's growing influence at Travel Channel may have played a role in the decision. Others suggest that Nick's vision for the show had strayed too far from the direction the network wanted to take. Whatever the truth, one thing was certain. Nick Groff, one of the original creators of Ghost Adventures, was no longer part of the show he had helped build. But the story didn't end there. Shortly after leaving Ghost Adventures, Nick announced a new project, Paranormal Lockdown. The series, co-hosted with investigator Katrina Weidman, took a different approach to ghost hunting. Instead of quick overnight visits, Nick and Katrina stayed inside haunted locations for 72 hours, pushing the limits of what investigators could endure. The show was an instant hit, praised for its immersive style and dedication to uncovering the truth. Nick himself remained cryptic about what really happened, but he did hint at something bigger at play. In interviews and social media posts, he spoke about challenges he faced in the industry, about roadblocks that seemed to appear whenever he tried to launch a new project. Though he never named names, it wasn't hard to guess who he might have been referring to. Despite the setbacks, Nick refused to disappear. He turned to independent platforms, launching new projects outside of traditional networks. His work continued to evolve, but the controversies surrounding his exit from Ghost Adventures and the cancellation of Paranormal Lockdown remained a lingering mystery. Was Nick Groff the victim of behind-the-scenes sabotage? Did Ghost Adventures insiders work to keep him from succeeding on his own? Or was it simply a case of bad luck and business decisions? One thing was certain. Nick Groff's career was no longer just about the paranormal. It had become a battle for control, a fight to prove that he still had a place in the field he had helped create. In 2023, Nick Groff broke his silence. After nearly a decade of speculation, he released a series of videos that sent shockwaves through the paranormal community. For years, fans had wondered why Nick had seemingly vanished from mainstream television after Ghost Adventures. Now, he was ready to tell his side of the story. Without naming names, Nick spoke about being deliberately shut out of the industry, hinting that powerful figures had worked behind the scenes to block his success. But the message was clear. He was talking about Zach Bagans. The timing of Nick's revelations couldn't have been more explosive. Around the same time, Destination Fear, a popular paranormal series led by Dakota Layden, was abruptly canceled. Almost immediately, rumors began circulating that Zach had played a role in shutting it down. Dakota himself didn't confirm the allegations outright, but when asked whether he and Zach were still friends, his response was simple. "No, we're not." Fans connected the dots, fueling speculation that Zach had been using his influence to control the paranormal entertainment industry. Nick's claims of blacklisting struck a nerve, not just with fans, but with other investigators as well. Bill Hartley, a paranormal researcher known for his work on ghosts of Shepherdstown, came forward with similar allegations. He claimed that Zach had actively prevented competing shows from gaining traction, using his position at the network to push out investigators he didn't want in the spotlight. As the accusations gained traction, the paranormal community became deeply divided. Longtime fans of Ghost Adventures defended Zach, arguing that Nick's claims lacked evidence. Others, however, saw a pattern. Multiple investigators speaking out, a history of sudden cancellations, and a growing sense that one figure held too much control over the industry. Paranormal YouTubers quickly jumped into the debate, dissecting every piece of evidence. Some dug up old interviews and behind-the-scenes reports that seemed to support Nick's claims. Others pointed out inconsistencies, questioning whether Nick was simply bitter over his career trajectory. The controversy wasn't just about two former colleagues, it was about the integrity of the paranormal field itself. As fans debated, one question loomed over the discussion. Was Paranormal Lockdown canceled due to network politics? The show had been a massive success, drawing in audiences who had grown tired of overly dramatic ghost hunting series. Nick and Katrina's immersive 72-hour investigations gave the show a sense of credibility that set it apart. But despite strong viewership, the show was suddenly pulled from the airwaves. Nick had never publicly blamed anyone for Paranormal Lockdown's cancellation, but after his 2023 videos, fans began re-examining the situation. Was the show a casualty of behind-the-scenes power plays? Had networks deliberately distanced themselves from Nick to avoid conflict with Zach? Nick's struggles didn't end with Paranormal Lockdown. Every attempt to launch a new project seemed to hit a roadblock. Paranormal networks weren't interested. Traditional television deals fell through. It was as if he had been quietly erased from the industry he helped shape. But as mainstream doors closed, new ones opened. The rise of independent content on YouTube and TikTok gave Nick a new platform, one that was free from network control. He began producing his own investigations, sharing content directly with fans. While he no longer had the backing of major television studios, he had something even more valuable: creative freedom. As the paranormal world evolved, independent creators were gaining more influence. Investigators who once relied on TV deals were now turning to crowdfunding, social media, and direct engagement with their audiences. Nick was part of this shift, adapting to a landscape where networks no longer dictated success. But even as he built a new career on his own terms, the controversies surrounding his departure from Ghost Adventures and his alleged blacklisting remained a dark cloud over his legacy. Fans were left to decide for themselves. Was Nick Groff a victim of industry manipulation? Or was his downfall simply the result of bad luck and failed business decisions? Regardless of the truth, one thing was undeniable. Nick's story had exposed the inner workings of an industry that thrived on mystery, not just in its investigations, but behind the scenes as well. Nick Groff's impact on the paranormal field goes beyond his time on Ghost Adventures. His investigative style, patient, methodical, and immersive, helped set a new standard, proving that real paranormal research didn't need theatrics to be compelling. While other shows leaned into dramatic reactions and exaggerated storytelling, Nick focused on authenticity, letting the evidence speak for itself. His influence extended beyond his own work, inspiring a new wave of investigators to approach the unknown with curiosity rather than fear. But his career didn't end with mainstream television. With Deathwalker, Nick embraced the rise of independent paranormal content, producing investigations on his own terms. As networks tightened their grip on the genre, he, like others, turned to platforms like YouTube to reach audiences directly. Meanwhile, Project Fear, led by Dakota and Chelsea Layden, proved that network rejection didn't mean the end. The shift was clear. Paranormal entertainment was no longer controlled by gatekeepers, and Nick Groff was helping lead the charge into a new era. The world of paranormal investigation is evolving. No longer controlled by a handful of television networks, the power is shifting to independent creators, investigators who prioritize discovery over drama, truth over television ratings. The rise of digital platforms has given a voice to those once pushed aside, proving that real paranormal research doesn't need a network to thrive. Nick Groff's career may have taken unexpected turns, but his influence remains woven into the fabric of the field. His storytelling, his investigative techniques, and his drive to uncover the unknown have left a mark that won't easily fade. While mainstream television moved in one direction, Nick carved his own path, inspiring a new generation of paranormal investigators to take control of their own narratives. But questions still linger. Was Nick Groff the victim of a larger power struggle behind the scenes? Or was his exit from the mainstream simply the result of shifting industry tides? As the field moves forward, his legacy remains up for debate. Let us know what you think in the comments. No matter the answer, one thing is certain: Nick Groff's journey is far from over.